For this Halloween special My Hero Academia video, we will be going over the 100 Tales story that was told by Tokoyami in the third My Hero Academia School Briefs light novel that throws us into the more supernatural side of the My Hero Academia world. Now, the following story was told to us by Tokoyami, which was told to him by his own grandfather when he was younger. What I find very interesting about this story and about the third School Briefs light novel is that it gives us a deeper look into the world of My Hero Academia and the possible supernatural side of this world. Also, I think it's very fitting that Tokoyami would be the one who has a possible real ghost story given his character and all. With that said, let's begin the 100 Tales story. Many years ago, the youths in a certain village amused themselves with the 100 Tales. Now, the 100 Tales is a way of telling ghost stories passed through the ages. You light 100 candles before starting and blow out one for every story you tell throughout the night. When the final candle goes out, it's said that a real ghost is supposed to show up. Now, in real life, this is actually based on a Japanese traditional test of courage game that dates all the way back to Edo period Japan. It is believed that the game was originally created by the samurai as a test of courage, to see who was brave enough to withstand the gruesome tales and who would succumb and shiver when the final candle was doused. Continuing on with the story, in this particular village, the 100 Tales was one of the few amusements these youths had available to them. Wary of summoning a specter, they were always sure to stop at the 99th tale. One day, however, a blonde woman came to the village from the city. As a world traveler, she had heard about the 100 Tales and was eager to join the fun, so the youths happily welcomed her to their storytelling circle that night. Not one of their tales made her cry out in fright though. In fact, partway through she began to grin, which only served to frighten the youths. At last, they got through 99 tales and decided to stop, as always. But the visitor broke her silence and began to tell the 100th tale of the night. The group implored her to stop, but she did not. When her tale concluded, the final candle blew out on its own. One of the youths kept a brave face and pointed out that no ghost or ghoul had emerged, but when he tried to relight the candle, the blonde woman had vanished altogether. The next morning, the entire village and its police force conducted a search, but she was nowhere to be found. Perhaps she had simply gone home, some thought, while others whispered that maybe she had been spirited away. Time passed until most had forgotten about the blonde woman, but one day, one of the youths present that fateful night claimed that he had spotted the woman again. The others were convinced his eyes had deceived him, until the next day when his body was discovered, his face twisted in an expression of sheer terror at the moment of death, and wrapped around his neck, a single blonde hair. The next day, another one of the youths from that night turned up dead, then another, and another, until everyone who had been present for the blonde woman's 100th tale was no more. The rest of the village was convinced that the woman must have been a soul-sucking demon of some sort. The reason why the villagers had jumped to the conclusion of the woman being a demon was due to a certain legend within the village. You see, long ago, it was said a local couple had given birth to a daughter with blonde hair. The dark-haired husband assumed his wife had been unfaithful, and despite his wife's protests, he abandoned her and their newborn daughter on the mountainside. Deep in the mountains, the wife sacrificed a baby to a demon in order to lay a powerful grudge-filled curse upon her cruel husband. Due to this legend, it was assumed by the villagers that the blonde-haired woman must have been that very same baby who was sacrificed to the demon, and now she had returned back to the village to cause trouble. Now, the story doesn't end here. You see, the friend who told Tokoyami's grandfather about this tale had moved away from that very same village at a young age. As a grown man, he found himself nostalgic for his hometown, but when he returned for a visit, the man found the village deserted and in ruins. According to those in the next town over, the village was afflicted by a terrible plague that killed off each and every resident. Could it really have been an illness that destroyed them though? Perhaps not, as rumor has it that strands of blonde hair were found near the bodies. After the man returned from the ruined village and told Tokoyami's grandfather his story, the man began acting strangely. Apparently, he had spotted the grinning blonde woman and was now afraid that spreading word of her through his tale had cursed him too. Tokoyami's grandfather had suggested to the man that maybe he was imagining things, but the friend was convinced he was now cursed. Then several days later, he died. suddenly and was found with a single strand of blonde hair wrapped around his neck. Now, this marks the end of the tale Tokoyami's grandfather had told him. As for whether or not this tale was made up or in fact true, Tokoyami himself doesn't know. What does give his tale some validity though is that later in the same School Briefs light novel, we learn about one of the 7 mysteries of UA, which I'll cover that in a different video. But needless to say, both the 100 Tale story and one of the 7 mysteries of UA both dealt with the supernatural. If anything, this means that ghosts and demons could be real in the My Hero Academia world. Even Tokoyami seems to believe so too, since after telling this story to some of his classmates, he says, "The stories we pass down contain lessons. The lesson of my tale is that stories themselves should be treated as more than mere amusements or ways to pass the time. Wandering cursed spirits roam closer to home than we might expect, and they are always listening, even here and now, perhaps." All of this to me is very interesting lore and a cool way to expand the world of My Hero Academia as we know it through these spin-off novels and manga which we wouldn't otherwise get from the main My Hero Academia manga story. Plus, I really like the supernatural aspect of things, and I don't really think it takes away anything from the main story. If anything, it adds an extra layer to it. It feels really natural to me that My Hero Academia would have a supernatural side to things, since Horikoshi is a huge fan of Marvel and DC comics, and in their respective universes, they too have supernatural storylines and things happening alongside the whole superhero stuff. I honestly wouldn't mind if there was a superhero that dealt with supernatural beings and threats like ghosts and demons in My Hero Academia. I feel that would add an extra layer to this already amazing world. I'm just glad these canon spin-off series get to touch on stuff like the supernatural, which of course if you are a fan of My Hero Academia and can't get enough of this world and its characters like I am, I do suggest you go pick up some of the spin-off manga and novels and read them for yourselves, because they are a bunch of fun. Anyways, let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on the 100 Tale story. Did you find it to be as interesting as I did? Let me know everything in the comment section below. With that said, if you enjoyed the video, then be sure to Detroit smash that like button below, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. If you are new to the channel and you want to see more My Hero Academia content, then be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on to join the Kitaroki Hero Academia to become my hero. Doing all of this really does help the channel out a lot, and it's always appreciated. Remember to stay plus ultra, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.